Oui, oui. So thank you. I see we have 23 more minutes. Maybe before I start, I just would like to point out for 1 or 2 minutes what's kind of special about France and SKEMA from my perspective, and then I talk about my program. Before I became a professor, I did teach at 35 business schools. So I did teach quite a lot all over the world on 4 different continents. And I think there are internationally 3 major countries for studying. It's the United States, it's France, and it's the UK. So 2 of them are English speaking, and one is French speaking. And I would say that France has a big advantage compared to the other 2 from my perspective, because the prices are not as crazy as they are in the US. So I think they are high quality, but they are still affordable. And the second thing is France education is very industry connected. So this means for us it's quite natural that we connect our students to their future job and to other companies. And I think that's very helpful from a career perspective. So I think France is one of the great international countries for studying. One thing about SKEMA is doing one surprising thing that not a lot of other business schools are doing is, and we have very, very many international campuses. And that means that we believe in something that most other business schools do not do as much. And this is, from my perspective, 2 things. We believe in that diversity and having students from many different locations is an advantage. And the second thing is we believe that experience matters and personal network matters. So you cannot do the same course online like being in the street of Paris or Lille or Nice or something like that. So being there has also an impact on who you become as a human being. And from my personal background, at some point of time, I studied in the United States, and it helped me for my future career. So I think at some point of time, it maybe is wise for a student to go to a different continent. It's not easy, maybe, but it's probably long-term a good and right decision to do that. Okay, so supply chain management. So I have 21 minutes for supply chain management. Before I go there, why supply chain management, or what do we offer at SKEMA in general? We are living in fascinating times, and that means the world is really changing at the moment, and that means we have new topics today. And it's also a wonderful opportunity, but it's also it looks a little overwhelming. So the world tomorrow will be different from the world yesterday. We can't avoid it. It will happen. And that has impacts on education. And you either can be part of this change or you can stand outside of this change. So if you think about what could be a great career, you have to think about what will participate in this change. And yes, technology like AI will be a part of it. And yes, something like sustainability will be a part of it. And of course, obviously, also supply chain management will be part of it, because somebody has to bring the stuff from somewhere to the customer. So supply chain is one of the trend topics. And that means pretty much that we do not have enough smart students or people for the positions that are there in the world. And that's all over the place. So it's not only in France or not only in Europe, it's all over the world that we don't have enough good people. So from a student perspective, it's a wonderful time if you're taking the opportunity, because it's very, 10 years ago, it was very hard to become better than your boss, because your boss had a lot of experience that you don't have. But your boss is no expert in technology. Your boss is no expert in sustainability. So if you are the young generation and you become an expert in that fast, maybe you can overtake your boss within 2 or 3 years. So this means that careers for you are now possible that have not been possible in the past. Now I will come to my supply chain topic. So Supply chain is one of the trend topics. Absolutely. It's an interesting and fascinating field. One of the things that really makes it interesting is that in the last years it got more and more difficult. We had the pandemic, we had crisis, we have trade wars, we have a real war in the Ukraine. Maybe we will have more wars in the future. Maybe we will have a financial crisis soon. Let's not talk about all the stuff, but that can happen. And somebody still has to fix it. And that's us in supply chain management. So if the world changes, we have to fix it. And if this challenge gets more and more difficult, it means we need to get better and better educated. That sounds like a bigger challenge. It also means more money. So whenever you do a better job, long term, it means you earn more money. So we at SKEMA, we are very happy that we have this program in supply chain management, and we have focused on something like an excellent aspect on that. So we are not only teaching you supply chain management, we also try to prepare you for high leadership positions, because we think in this challenging times, of course, you can just look for a job, but maybe you can grab the opportunity and maybe you can be ambitious enough and say, hey, I want to get a manager or a director position as fast as possible. And this is what we try to prepare you for in this program. So we are kind of thinking about what exactly do our students need today so that they get really cool positions in 2 or 5 years from now. And this is how we have kind of designed the program. So, and one thing that you can see here is SKEMA is a good business school. We are one of the best business schools, and as Yongfeng mentioned in France. Our program is one of the best supply chain programs in Europe. The best program in the world, unfortunately, is not yet SKEMA, it is MIT. And this is why we have a partnership with MIT. So if we are not yet the best, we are partnering the best with the best. I think that's a smart strategy. What does it mean for you? It means that you kind of get almost MIT content for the SKEMA prize. And it means you get 5 certificates additionally from MIT. And it means you also become alumni of MIT. So it's not only that you become alumni of SKEMA, which is really cool. It means you also become alumni of a even bigger, even more global branded business school. So we partner with MIT. Around 40% of the content in the program is MIT content. 60% of the program is our content. Maybe next slide. Great. Maybe even next slide again. So this is me. I don't want to talk too much about me. Maybe 2 things, because they say a little about the program. The first one is 3 things. The first one is I was not a professor always. I was a managing director of a company before, and I just became a professor 3 years. This is the philosophy of our program. We really want to bring real world industry leaders into the program so that you can learn from them. So we believe that the best teachers for you are people who have already done the job that you dream of. So if you dream of becoming the head of something, we need this person to become your teacher. So this is the first thing that you can see in my CV. The second, I did teach at more than 30 business schools worldwide. The DNA of our program is super global. We also had in the past every year 1 or 2 Vietnamese students. They always have been good students. It would be great to have more Vietnamese students in the future. And the third thing that you can see here on my CV is I studied at Harvard, which is also a quite famous business school. I love it. We have a lot of teachers from Harvard in our program. It's 8 teachers. So I'm bringing my network into the program. So we always try to bring the best people as teachers into the program. Maybe next slide. Yeah, MIT. Well, I think you have heard of MIT, so I will try to make it quite fast. MIT is one of the top 5 or top 10 business schools in the world. I would say they are around number 4 or 5 in the world. That's my perception. In supply chain, they are number 1, no question. When do we get number 2 in the world? I hope as fast as possible. We will see. So MIT is ranked there are two rankings in supply chain management. They are #1 in both. We are number 12. So we are getting close, but we are not yet there. You will get 5 courses with them. You will have exactly the same content as the students from MIT. You will have exactly the same exams like the students from MIT. So this means you get 5 certificates, you become MIT alumni, and if you want, it allows you to get a master degree at MIT in just 5 months if you participate in our program. Okay. I already talked a little about our concept. So my approach is to learn also from people. I think it's super boring if, like, at the moment you are just seeing a PowerPoint and you see me here small on an online picture. I think this is not really super fun. We try to bring cool people into the classroom so that you can talk and interact and ask them questions. And we try to bring the best in the field. So if our program is in supply chain management and procurement, we need to bring in heads of supply chain and head of procurement. Some of my students want to become entrepreneurs, so we bring in entrepreneurs. Some of my students want to go into consulting, so we bring in managing directors from consultancies. Some of my students are super ambitious and they want to become a CEO. So we have also CEOs and CFOs teaching in our program. So that's the idea. We try to bring these cool people with a lot of experience and into our classrooms. Okay. Yes, we have another exchange. So as Yongfeng has said, France is a beautiful country, Italy too. Paris is a nice city, Milano too. So one of our biggest competitors for being the best business school in supply chain in Europe is Polimi. They are very well doing in the rankings. You see here, they are ranked #3 worldwide. So they are very good. I think our program is better, but they are doing very well in the program. I want that my students have the opportunity to also go there and share the experience and network with the people over there. So we have an exchange program, so our students can go there for a limited period of time during the program. I'm working on other cooperations, but our program is just a year, so we can't do 100 cooperations. Oh, yes. One of the things that many people think is, and I don't agree, is if you want to be successful in life, you just need to be good in one thing. So you want to become a finance career, you only study finance topics. You want to become really good in supply chain, you only learn supply chain stuff. I don't believe that. I think finally, for being successful, you need to create a situation in which people like you, in which people follow you, in which people want to work with you. So to a large extent, it's not only about supply chain management, it's also about who you are and how you are with people. Interestingly, many supply chain people are introverts, which makes them smart, but not very good with people. So this means that we also need to help our students to be good in communication and leadership and negotiation and working in teams and working with different people. This is just voodoo stuff. Do you really need it? Yes, you will very early see that you need it, even in the job interviews. In the job interviews, to a large extent, it's not about how much you know about supply chain management. It's how well you can sell yourself as a person. Okay. Yes, so that's kind of the teaching concept. So we try to bring in the best from all worlds, and we mix it in very different ways. So we use MIT with kind of all the hard skills, the old kind of content. Then we bring a lot of these industry people. Then we bring the soft skills. And one thing that I didn't mention yet, so I mention it now, is the world is changing. So one of the things that we really need to teach our students is what are the trends in the future? And that is topics like sustainability or AI or technology or resilience. So if the world tomorrow is different, we will need to teach you what you will need in the future. And that is the reason why we have put a lot of time and emphasis on these new topics like AI, blockchain, sustainability, ethical, green, resilience, risk, agile, and so on. So we try to bring in the best of all of these worlds. Okay. What can you do afterwards? So my students are pretty much going into 3 major directions, and it's 1, 2, and 4 and on the slide. So something like 30% of my students go into the area of supply chain, and that's typically more the people who are a little more abstract in their personality. So people who like things more than people typically go more into supply chain. Then I have 30% of my students, they go into procurement. And here it's typically the people who like people more than things who go more into procurement. And then I have these ambitious young students who think, oh, I want to learn fast and I want to make money fast and I want to get a promotion fast and I want to become a manager fast. And one of the tracks to do that is becoming a consultant. And this is why we also have a couple of consulting courses in our program. I'm a previous consultant too. And so we prepare you to be successful in this consulting industry. At the moment, 30% of my students are doing that. I think in the future it will be even more. And then the other thing that's interesting, and I have these students, I would say it's 5 or 10% of my students, they already have or they want to create their own business. So they are in the trade industry and they have an idea or they want to create an e-commerce platform or something like that. And I think supply chain management also helps you in building these sort of old school companies where you really have a good that is created and then brought by a logistics network to a customer. Internships. So I have 7 more minutes. That's good. So internships. One of the things that I like about France is the education here is done in a way which helps you for your future job. And this means that in France, it is mandatory, so you have to do it, do an internship. And that's good, because one of the worst things that you can do is you are sitting as a student in the classroom, you're learning the theories, but you're never really applying it, you're never really working. I think that's wrong. I think the other thing that you can do very easily wrong as a young person is you don't really know what you want to do in your job. So you start a career and 10 years later you realize you don't really enjoy it. And here again, doing an internship when you are young to understand what you like and what you don't like is really helpful. What does it mean? It means that if you study in France and if you study at SKEMA, you have to do an internship and you get money for it. So it's also good from a financial perspective. But you learn and you apply the stuff that you have done theoretically in the courses. It's a great thing. I think it's good. Final slide. Yeah, I hope you got the DNA of our program. So it's meant to create successful people in their future. It's meant to create people who are successful in a global environment. So we want to give you the opportunity that you can work where you want. So if you want to work in Vietnam, that's fine. If you want to work in France, that's fine. If you want to work somewhere else, like the US or Dubai or whatever, you are competitive, so you can go there. So that's one of the things. The second is high quality. High quality sounds cool. It also has a disadvantage. It means you have to do more work. So we expect that students are doing their homeworks every week. Otherwise, you can't get excellent. And yes, we are focusing on the future and the future trends, and we are focusing on all the skills that you need holistically to be successful. And that's more than only supply chain management. Thank you, and we have 5 more minutes for questions.
Merci, Professor. Merci.